Dear learners, today I will be speaking on noise impact on human health, part of the MEV 001 course. I am Professor Baskar from Guru Jambheshwar University, Hisar, Haryana. After listening to this video, you should be able to identify the sources of noise pollution, understand their effects on environment, understand their effects on human health, and know the legal aspects of noise pollution. The word noise comes from the Latin word nausea. Learners, unlike water, air and soil pollution, noise pollution does not leave any residue. Noise pollution is any undesirable or unpleasant sound that causes discomfort to the ear and results in consequent health hazards. Noise pollution, you are familiar, is more prevalent in the cities compared to the suburbs and villages. The reason is obvious, that is because of increasing population and lifestyle impacts. More people in a city means more public transportation, more industries, more institutions, more factories, and of course more residential areas that collectively produce large amount of noise. In a way, we can say that the increase in the environmental noise is a byproduct of technological advances. The World Health Organization made a report to the UN conference, Environmental Conference Stockholm in 1972, where it made the observation, man is fast driving himself mad with noise. Of all forms of pollution, noise is the most insistent yet the easiest to control. The report described noise as a curse of modern times and a major environmental problem today. As told to you earlier, noise is simply unwanted sound. Sound is nothing but compression waves which travel through matter. They travel in water, steel, air, but they cannot travel through vacuum. Waves are characterized by amplitude, frequency, velocity and wavelength. When sound hits an object, it vibrates. The noise is also produced by fluctuation in air pressure, which includes sound and vibrations. When do we say it is noise? The characteristics of unpleasant sound depend on the frequency and intensity of sound waves, time, exposure and intermittence of sound waves. Learners, before we go ahead, let us get familiar with some of the terms. Loudness, it is measured by decibel. Pitch or frequency is measured in hertz. Noise can be of high or low frequency. Below 16 hertz is infraaudible. Above 20,000 is ultrasonic. 2000 to 8000 hertz is most annoying, and as per WHO, the 45 decibel is taken as safe level for noise in cities. Now you may be familiar and you can guess what are the sources of noise pollution. There can be indoor sources or outdoor sources. Indoor sources are radio, televisions, generators, lawn mowers, electric pump sets, electric fans, air coolers, air conditions, different kind of appliances in home and kitchen. All of these you are familiar. Outdoor noise sources, they include from noise from the loudspeakers, industrial activities, automobiles, rail traffic, aeroplanes, farm machines, pump sets, etc. Now they can also be classified based on the source from where it is produced. Domestic sources, as I said to you in the previous slide, they are all related to the home related noise production. Social events can be like marriage, parties and other get-togethers which can create, or religious function, they can create the noise. Then there can be industrial activities, factory activities which can cause these kind of noise. Then there are transportation sector which releases large amount of noise, that can be rail, road or air, and there are also other sources of noise pollution. Now you can see the human ear and sound. The noise pollution enters the human body through the ears. The visible outer part of the ears is called pinna, gathers sound. When sound reaches the eardrum, it becomes vibration. So from the pinna it goes to the eardrum and the eardrum vibrates. These vibrations are picked up by 3 tiny ear bones in the middle ear and are mechanically passed on to the inner ear, where hair cells translate them into electrochemical pulses. You can see this diagram. You can see that the auditory part of our brain interprets this stimulus or electrochemical impulses. Though we hear sound through the ear, the effects can be far ranging. It can be both on the ears and also on the general human body. You can see what are the effects on human health. There can be stress and headache. You must have experienced this. High blood pressure, sleeplessness, restlessness. If you are living near an area which is having lot of noise pollution, it is very difficult to get a sound sleep. Ringing in the ears or ear pain. Sometimes you can have digestive and immune system disorders. In some cases you can have presbycusis, which is nothing but loss of hearing that gradually occurs with age. Sometimes noise pollution also induces aggressive behavior in individuals. Now what are the auditory effects? Auditory effects means those effects which are related to the ears. Neural hearing loss can be caused by damage to auditory nerves. Sensory hearing loss is caused by damage to the inner ear. Now if there is high noise level, this can result in excessive earwax secretion or a damaged eardrum or fluid in the middle of ear. More serious effects include permanent deafness, pain and ringing in the ears. Now if there is one study to be noted regarding presbycusis, then this is regarding the people in Delhi, and they complain of this age related hearing loss, and as early as 60 years of age they are having ear loss. This study was done by Center for Occupational and Environmental Health at Maulana Azad Medical College, New Delhi. Normally this should set in at the age of 75 years, but because of the noise pollution we get this at the age of 60. It is reported by Dr. T.K. Joshi, Director of the Center for Occupational and Environmental Health, Maulana Azad Medical College, and the age has actually come down by almost 15 years. So you can see the hearing efficiency is drawn down by 15 years because of noise pollution. After analyzing thousands of cases, they concluded this is due to very high pollution levels in the city. That means we should be careful that we take care, we do not generate unwanted noise. Noise trauma is one of the major reasons that induce presbycusis at an early age, though other factors can activate it or add to it: poor diet, smoking and hypertension. Further studies were conducted by Delhi Pollution Control Committee. They reported high noise levels in central Delhi, Rohini, Pitampura, Dwaraka and IGI airport, somewhere between 80 to 93 decibels during day and night. These levels are deafening. Now there are also non-auditory effects of noise pollution. This can lead to increase in blood pressure, blood cholesterol, increase in heart rate, dilation of pupil of the eye, adrenaline hormone changes, digestive spasms, damage to respiratory and digestive systems. You can see that how the noise pollution can affect almost all the important organs of the body. Constant noise can lead to stress disorders which can develop into ulcers. It can contribute to mental illness, depression and sexual dysfunction. Now there are non-auditory effects, again sleep deprivation and sleep disorders, and at 85 decibels hearing damage is most likely to occur. It can cause irritation, heart attack, constriction of blood vessels, insomnia, anxiety, sweating, giddiness, nausea, gastrointestinal problems, peptic ulcers, etc. Children are more sensitive. In children, it can cause a decrease in alertness and ability to memorize, nervousness, pupil dilation, and a decrease in the visual field. So we can see that noise pollution is a serious issue and should not be ignored. It is not that it only affects the humans, it also affects the fauna and flora. Mating signals and warning cries are threatened by noise pollution. Sometimes the entire animal species are displaced. Birds chirp longer and louder in polluted areas. So, many times because of noise pollution, feeding and breeding patterns are disturbed. It leads to lowered reproduction rates. In military sonar, which is used, they can have in the oceans, they can have adverse effect on the dolphins. In the poultry sector, because of noise pollution, there is reduced egg production. There is detrimental effect on reproduction of plants and seed growth is threatened. So you can see the noise pollution not only affects the humans but also fauna and flora. In particular, if you see in marine life, it has caused huge disturbance because since mid 1960s, we have started using the oceans and large amount of commercial vessel traffic has resulted in an increase in background noise, and this increase in noise is further also caused by exploration of oil and gas, shipping traffic, seismic surveys, military sonar and other man-made sources. Now this marine life like whales, fishes and dolphins are affected. Marine, it is very strange that marine animals, mammals have died of cerebral hemorrhage due to high levels of noise. Even oil and gas surveys have shown to damage fish and dramatically reduce the fish catch rates. So you can see that noise pollution will disturb life below the surface, that is in the oceans, because the organisms there depend on sound for any communication, for sense of mating, communicating, hunting and survival. Now, can we prevent and control noise pollution? Control of domestic noise. Suppose we want to control domestic noise, we can use heavy curtains on the windows, we can put rugs and carpets on the floor, we can use acoustical tiles on the ceilings and walls. Suppose we want to control the traffic noise, we should ensure that old vehicles should be replaced, there should be less use of horns, there should be proper oiling of engines and there should be making or upgraded new roads. Vegetation buffer zones can also be created which will reduce the noise impact. Aerodromes should be far away from residences. Noises from railways can be controlled by changing the tracks. All these can be done, and in Western countries these are being strictly followed. There can also be control of industrial noise. For example, using sound absorbers, acoustic tiles, silencers in engines. And those workers who work in factories should wear earplugs so that their ear is not damaged. Now, what are the noise measuring instruments? Some instruments I will mention so that you are familiar with them, you get familiar with them. Sound level meter is an instrument which indicates sound pressure levels in the audible range. You can see the photograph I have attached along with this slide. Then again there is an impulse meter. Noises which last a fraction of a second, such as those produced by hammer blows, are measured with impulse meter. Instead of using the earlier instrument, we will use the impulse meter here. Now there is frequency analyzer. This allows separating the main components of the signal by dividing the frequency range of interest into smaller bands. frequency bands using filters. Then we can have graphic recorders. Graphic record of a sound level is obtained by connecting a sound level meter to graphic level recorder that plots the sound level pressure level as a function of time on a moving chart paper. In this, the graph is recorded on a chart paper. Then we have noise dosimeters. These are used for sound levels and the amount of time a worker is exposed at various levels of noise. Then we have some noise control technologies. For example, damping. We can use vibration absorbers. We can use monolayer absorbing linings. We can also use sound absorbers or silencers. They diminish airborne sound propagation in ducts when gases escape or expand. Then there can be acoustical enclosures. They can be provided to noisy machines, and these can be made up of sheet metals lined inside with an acoustical material. So this will reduce the noise pollution to a great extent. Then we can have acoustical barriers or shield. Then we can have acoustical treatment of walls, ceilings, for example absorbent fibers, glass or mineral wool, or some hard but porous plaster like materials. So we can use this and reduce the pollution caused due to the noise. Then there are certain legislations which have been approved for noise pollution. Before the Noise Regulation Act, which was introduced by Government of India, we used the law of tort to regulate noise. If noise affects a person's comfort, then it would amount to nuisance, which is actionable. So we use even today the law of torts in addition to the Noise Regulation 2000, which is approved. Then noise is also considered as a public nuisance under section 268 of the IPC, and thus criminal liability of a person relating to illegal omission resulting in common injury. So you can see there are number of cases which have dealt with the noise pollution both in the civil as well as public nuisance, and these are landmark judgments, and they are the basis for the new kind of laws to have been formulated. Now this noise pollution regulation and control rules 2000 is very important because these are specifically targeting the noise pollution. Earlier we had to use the tort law or the IPC Act, criminal provision of that, but now we also have noise pollution rules 2000 which are specifically related to control noise pollution. These rules regulate noise levels in industrial, commercial and residential zones, and also establish zones of silence about 100 meters near schools, courts and hospitals. They prescribe in industrial area the decibels can be up to 75 decibels, and in commercial 65 decibels, and in residential zones up to 55 decibels. The rules also assign regulatory authority for these standards to the local district court. No permission can be granted by any authority for use of public address system in the open after 10 p.m. and before 6 a.m. Any person or organization making noise on amplified system after 10 p.m. is a violation of the law and the person can be prosecuted. But now there have been some amendment to this, and this is called Noise Pollution Amendment Rules 2017 Regulation and Control. Now what is this amendment? By this amendment, the state government shall take necessary step to reduce noise pollution and permit the use of loudspeakers during night hours between 10 p.m. to 12 midnight during any cultural or religious or festive occasion of a limited duration not exceeding 15 days in a calendar year. Earlier it was very tight, but now one can seek permission up to 15 days in a year for some religious function or some festive occasion, and this can be from 10 pm to 12 midnight. The concerned state government or district authority, in respect of its jurisdiction as authorized by the concerned state government, shall generally specify in advance the number and particular of the days on which such exemption should be operative. The idea is the citizens are informed of these days when the noise pollution is to increase. Now, learners, you must have by now understood that if we have to control the noise pollution, a change in the behavior and attitude of citizens is crucial for environmental and human health. You must have also seen how serious effects it can cause to the human health and also to the ecology, to the fauna, flora and marine life. Noise pollution cannot be ignored. We have to handle it by changing our behavior. Now you have understood the sources of pollution, whether it is domestic or industrial, transportation or other sources. You have understood their effect on environment, including the trees and also on the human health. You have also understood how the legal system operates by having the noise pollution rules 2000 and how we use even now the law of torts and IPC to deal with this. Thank you very much for patient listening.